Hey guys, welcome back to Mo's Game Table. Today we're going to take a look inside No Retreat, the French and Polish fronts from GMT games designed by Carl Parody. This is one of the games that I received in the GMT sale that happened last week, and it was a lot of talk on Twitter and social media about that because the GMT servers faced a pretty heavy onslaught, but they soldiered on and fought through it and were able to get their servers smoothed out within a couple hours, and everybody was able to get their orders in, and everyone had a week to do so to order more. But these games came in within less than a week, so bravo Zulu to GMT for a job well done. Great cover again from Roger McGowan, and we'll take a look at the back of the box. It says, No Retreat, the French and Polish fronts. Following on the success of No Retreat, where the Russian front of World War II beckons, and then taking the action to the African front and the Italian front, game designer Carl Parody presents the latest chapter in this series, No Retreat, the French and Polish fronts. The phony war ended in May of 1940 as the German army unleashed blitzkrieg attacks into Holland, Belgium, and Luxembourg in preparation for their audacious plan to invade France. Dubbed Case Yellow, Fall Gelb, it relied on a surprise attack with armored forces through the Ardennes forest that the French had deemed impenetrable. A German staff study proved otherwise, and their panzers were pushed through this broken wooded terrain with deft speed, catching the Allies by surprise with their appearance. In No Retreat, the French and Polish fronts, players command the Allied or German forces, operating them in accordance to one of several historical plans, represented by plan cards. Maneuvering forces over hexes that are approximately 18 miles across over turns that represent 2 to 4 days of real time each. The vaunted No Retreat series card-assisted game systems are there to create on-map puzzles around each hex, unit, and battle as the tense engagements rage back and forth and nothing is entirely predictable. It says here, game designer Carl Parody has made an exhaustive study to answer the question, could France have staved off total defeat in 1940? His research yields a resounding yes, and the simulation elements of No Retreat French and Polish fronts combined with its novel gameplay elements offer a rich and insightful presentation of this controversial military campaign that shaped the trajectory of World War II. There's also the bonus game, which is the Polish front. It says, but wait, there's more. For this deluxe edition, complete with a two-sided mounted map and oversized counters, the 1939 Polish campaign was also added. This little simulated battle will see many new concepts implemented into the No Retreat game system. Given that both sides had never seen battle before, and the units were mostly untried and green, a fog of war game system is in use, adding much replayability to this simulation. Some intriguing what-if hypothetical historical options are also added. Could France have intervened more effectively? The USSR acted differently. What if Czechoslovakia was never taken over by the Nazis? Poland better prepared? All these and more are yours to try out in No Retreat. And that is the long back-of-the-box text. I know some people have messaged me and said they really like hearing the back-of-the-box text. I guess people don't like reading it themselves, but I always try to offer it so that way you get a better feel. Game contents, one 22 by 18 map board mounted and two-sided, one sheet of 176 two-sided square units, one sheet of 112 two-sided round hex markers, one rule book, 36 pages, a 24-page scenario book, 5 player aids, 80 event cards, and 2 6-sided die. It is rated at complexity 6, and solitaire is right smack in the middle at 5. And there is a look at some of the sample game counters. It is a 2-player game, obviously, but it's right smack dab in the middle of solitaire, so it can be played solitaire. And here we got our cards, some dice, baggies, a packing slip of who put this together for you. We've got our rule book, 37 pages, full color. We've got, there's the playbook, and then we've got player aids and victory point tracks. We'll come back to those. We've got our counter sheets, 3 counter sheets, and then we have our map board. Now let's pull that out first, get that laid out on the table while we take a look at everything else. And this is going to be the France 1940 side, and then the other is the Polish side. So let's put the Polish side out first. This thing's got a layout so we can get it flat, but that is the Polish map. That is going to be landscape, and then the French map is going to be portrait. So we'll leave the French map out while we talk about everything else. We've got our box and a lid. We'll move that aside. There you go, Dan. I got that in there for you. So we've got 3 counter sheets. We've got the round counters, administrative counters, and then we've got our unit counters. Got our Soviet and German counters as well as Polish counters. There are also Italian front alternate counters that come with the game, and French front here as well. And then we've got around these dotted lines there are errata counters for the no retreat North African front, and then Polish front forts are in white here. And then this sheet, these are going to be Polish front German counters here, and the rest of these are French and German units with Belgians as well, and some Dutch units. So that's a look at those. Are really vivid colors on these, especially the French. Really nice looking blue. These really pop, and they're going to pop on the board really nicely, I think. Big, nice, thick, rounded counters, so no corner clipping necessary. And we'll take a look now at the player aids and the victory point track. We've got our victory point track here, and surrendered, destroyed, evacuated units, and then secret plans go here. And then we've got the French front setup display, so it'll give you a quick visual reference as far as what units go where, and you get it listed out pretty quickly. Let's see if there's anything on the back of this. Then we have, this is the Polish front and this is the French front victory point track. And then you have your battle sequence of play, event card, icons, victory point scoring, and endgame victory points on this player aid. And then the Polish front setup here, same as the French front. And then on the back, we're going to have the other player aid. So you can have one for each player, one for the French, one for the Germans. And you have assault and combat tables here, and terrain effects chart. So you got your combat results chart, you've got your terrain effects chart, which breaks down each piece of terrain, what it costs to move through, what your column shifts are, defense shifts, and whether it stops advance or not. And then in your CRT down here, it's going to tell you who wins, who loses, attack or attrition, whether you get counterattack, counterblow, counterattack required, defender shattered, defender destroyed, so on and so forth. And on this other side here, we're going to have the German mobile combat table, Allied mobile combat table, prepared combat, German fortress combat, and German blitzkrieg assault combat. And this will give you small breakdowns as far as what your rolls are. You have your die roll, this is what the odds are, this is the result, standard CRT that you're going to find there. And in your playbook, you've got 34 pages. French front setup at first, and then the Polish front setup second. From 2 to 6 is going to be your scenarios for the French front, and then from page 7 to 9 is going to be your Polish front setup and scenarios. Page 10 is where you start your examples of play. Then you have designer's notes, player's notes, and then historical front lines for France and Poland, and then the counter sheet manifest at the back. So we'll flip through here. We've got the French front setup, which we talked about, and then the scoring conditions. You have a Dunkirk scenario in here. Let's see what else we've got. We've got the historical campaign game. Got a regular campaign game over here, historical campaign game, and a Dunkirk scenario, and also a hypothetical 1939 campaign game. And that's for the French front. Now for the Polish front, we have regular campaign game, historical campaign game, Warsaw scenario, Comintern campaign game, and then we get into the examples of play, which breaks everything down with illustrated examples of play. And gotta love these. Big fan of illustrated examples of play. I love seeing how everything is broken down for you with nice graphical depictions of the steps being taken, and then the explanation here, so you can more easily grok the game and get to playing. And continue on with these examples of play, broken down by scenario, like the Warsaw scenario here. And then we get into the designers games. or designer's notes. What? Another no retreat game? And some player's notes. And then you have your fronts on the maps, and then the counter sheet manifest. And then we've got the rulebook, which is 37 pages, and it breaks down all the sequences of the game and the phases, how to follow each one of them, and it goes out to how to win, gets to 23, and then you have special units, special markers, event listings, alternate events, and you have the unique leader rules, German-Soviet partition lines, plan cards, setup, advanced rules on page 37, and optional rules. So there's a page of advanced and optional rules as well. And there's a little bit of errata right in the front. Don't forget those. Anything in the blue call out to check that out. And an explanation of all the action markers, the unit counters. We got Panzer units here, sequence of play, the game setup and sequence of play, cards and initiative markers, and then timing. Discarding leader cards, which are a newer addition to the series. They have not been in all the games. I think they came in the Italian front, if I recall correctly, is when they started using those. And then we've got secret playing cards, leader card replacements, initiative markers, game turn checks phase, movement, evacuation airdrops, advanced after combat, surrendered VP, blitzkrieg assault, reserve, and then how to win. And then you have sudden death victory. Working the VP markers, you have automatic victory, sudden death victory, and then game end victory. And then an explanation of the level of victory here. Allied major victory, if it's 14 VP or less. 15 to 21 is Allied operational victory. And then above 22 to 30, above that, the higher it goes up, the better it is for the Germans here. German operational victory, 22 to 30, and then there's a German major victory. And then you have special units here. You've got your Panzer tank units, mobile units, Polish units, German air landing units, Soviet Army, forts, regional units, and fortress units up top, Swiss and French and German units, Dynamo British unit, then you have special markers, how those all work out, and event listings, stance events, alternate events, and then leader unique rules. There are 8 leaders, it looks like, in the game. Then you have the partition lines, playing card setup information, and advanced rules. There are 3 advanced rules, and then 2, it looks like, no, 3, 4, 5, 6. There are 6 optional rules. So you got 3 advanced rules, 6 optional rules. And then you have your index, which is always great to have in the back of the book, where you have a listed index, whatever it is you're looking for. You see the case number, and you can go pull it up real quick and look at it. And there is the back of the rule book, and here it says a dedication. These 2 games in one box are dedicated to the 22,000 Polish officers and officials massacred by the Soviet NKVD at Katyn in April 1940, and the 97 British soldiers executed at La Paradis village by German Waffen-SS in May 1940. Let us not forget their sacrifice. And wonderful dedication on the back from the designer Carl Parody. But that is a look inside No Retreat, the French and Polish fronts from GMT Games. Don't need to put that out there on the thing. And that's everything you get, along with the box and the lid, from GMT. If you have any comments or questions, post them below. Thanks for tuning in, guys. See you next time.